Colorado Territory, 1882. Hannah Brennan had been locked in an iron cage in the center of Dust Creek for 4 days. Her crime was being poor. Her punishment was a slow death by cold. The townspeople walked past her like she was already a corpse. Children threw snowballs at her face. Women pulled their skirts away as if poverty were contagious. No one stopped. No one questioned it. No one cared. The cage was not big enough for a dog. Hannah was curled inside it like a broken doll, her knees pressed to her chest, her spine bent against iron bars that had long since stopped feeling cold. After 4 days, everything had stopped feeling. She no longer cried. The tears had frozen on her cheeks 2 nights earlier and stayed there like proof that she had once been alive. Vagrant. That was the word Sheriff Dolan had used when he shoved her inside and snapped the padlock shut. Trash blown in from somewhere else. We'll teach you what happens to beggars in Dust Creek. Hannah had not been begging. She had been looking for work. She had walked into the mercantile and asked if they needed help sweeping floors or washing windows. The owner took one look at her worn dress and empty pockets and called for the sheriff. There was no trial, no questions, just iron bars and public shame. The cage sat in the middle of the town square so everyone could see her. That was the point. Make an example. Remind decent folks what happened to people who did not belong. 4 days of cold so bitter it burned. 4 days of hunger that stopped gnawing and started aching like a rotten tooth. 4 days of thirst that made her tongue feel thick and dead in her mouth. A woman passed with a basket of fresh bread. The smell hit Hannah like a fist. She swallowed hard and whispered through cracked lips, asking for just a piece, just the crust. The woman did not look at her. She walked faster and clutched the basket tighter. A group of boys came next. They had been there yesterday too. Yesterday they threw rocks. Today they brought snowballs. One hit Hannah's face before she could turn away. Ice and dirt exploded against her cheek and filled her mouth with grit. The boys laughed and threw more. Hannah pressed her face against the bars and waited. She counted them. 12 snowballs before they grew bored and left. The sun climbed weak and pale behind winter clouds. Hannah tracked its movement the way a prisoner tracks time. When it reached the church steeple, the afternoon crowd thinned. When it touched the mountains, the cold deepened. When it disappeared, the real night began. She did not think she would survive another one. She was drifting in and out of consciousness when she heard the wagon. At first she did not look. Wagons came through Dust Creek all the time. None of them ever stopped. Then she heard children's voices, bright and curious. "Papa, look! Papa, why is that lady in a cage?" Hannah lifted her head. The wagon had stopped a short distance away. A tall man climbed down, broad shoulders filling his coat, dark hair streaked with gray. 5 little girls sat bundled in the back, staring at her through the bars. The youngest tugged her sister's sleeve and asked again why the lady was locked up. The man approached slowly. His boots crunched on frozen ground. He crouched so his eyes were level with Hannah's. For the first time in 4 days, someone truly looked at her. Not past her, not through her, at her. His eyes were blue, tired and angry in a quiet way. "How long?" he asked. Hannah swallowed hard. 4 days. His jaw tightened. "They give you water?" "Yesterday morning. A cup." "Food?" "No." Something dark crossed his face. He stood and turned toward the land office where Sheriff Dolan leaned against a post, watching with amusement. The man's voice carried across the square as he asked, if this was how Dust Creek treated people. Sheriff Dolan smiled and gestured at Hannah like she was an animal. Vagrant trash. "This is how we handle her kind. Mind your business." The man did not move. He asked how much to let her out. Dolan laughed and mocked him, but when the stranger pressed closer, his voice low and dangerous, the sheriff named a price, $20. The man paid without hesitation. The padlock snapped open. Hannah tried to move, but her body would not obey. 4 days folded into that cage had stolen her strength. She slipped forward and collapsed. The man caught her. He lifted her as if she weighed nothing. One arm beneath her knees, the other around her back. Warmth surrounded her, real warmth, and for the first time in days, she felt something other than pain. He told her she was safe now. Hannah tried to speak, but only a broken sound came out. He carried her to the wagon. The girls moved quickly, wrapping her in blankets, pressing close to share their heat. One whispered that Papa would take care of her. The wagon rolled out of Dust Creek without looking back. As they traveled west, Hannah drifted between sleep and waking. The girls introduced themselves, offered her water, watched her with worried eyes. The man asked how she was doing and called her Miss Brennan, like she was someone worthy of respect. She asked him why he stopped when everyone else walked past. He answered that his wife would have stopped, and even though she had been gone 3 years, he still tried to live the way she would have wanted. The wagon finally stopped as the sun touched the mountains. They had reached his ranch. The house was modest but solid, smoke curling from the chimney. Inside, it smelled of wood smoke and stew. Hannah was helped into a chair by the fire. The heat was almost painful, but she did not pull away. She asked why he had done this, why he paid for her, why he brought her here when she had nothing to offer. He told her someone should have stopped that cage days ago. He could not change that, but he could change what happened next. A spare bedroom waited for her at the end of the hall. Clean towels, warm water, a bed with a thick quilt, Elizabeth McCord's dress laid out for her to wear. Hannah washed her face, changed clothes, and crawled into bed. Children's voices drifted through the house, normal sounds, family sounds. She closed her eyes. For the first time in years, Hannah Brennan slept without fear. Hannah woke to the sound of bacon sizzling and children's voices drifting through the house. For a moment, she did not know where she was. The bed was too soft. The air was too warm. Then memory returned in pieces. The cage, the cold, the man who broke the lock. She sat up slowly. Her body protested, stiff and sore, but it obeyed. A small face appeared at the door. Lily smiled wide and ran off shouting that Hannah was awake. Moments later, the house filled with movement. Samuel McCord stood at the stove, turning bacon. He greeted her like it was the most natural thing in the world. He told her to sit and eat. The girls crowded around the table, talking over each other. Hannah watched them, stunned by the normal chaos of family life. After breakfast, Sam asked Hannah to sit with him. He told her she could stay as long as she needed. He said they would talk about work later. For now, she needed rest. Hannah tried to argue, tried to offer chores, but he stopped her with a calm firmness that made her chest ache. She told him the truth then. About St. Louis, about the false charge, about the indenture contract sold to Silas Crenshaw, about the 2 years she spent under his control, and the escape that turned her into a hunted woman. Sam listened without interrupting. When she finished, he told her Crenshaw would not take her back. He said if the man came, they would deal with him. His voice carried no doubt. For the first time since she fled Denver, Hannah believed she might not have to keep running. The days that followed fell into a rhythm that felt unreal. Hannah helped with small things at first. Folding laundry, mending clothes, watching the girls while Sam worked the land. The girls accepted her easily, especially Lily, who followed her everywhere and asked endless questions. Josie watched her closely, measuring every word and action. Hannah understood. Josie had been the second mother since Elizabeth died. Trust did not come easily to children who had already lost one. Abigail was the bridge. One evening, Hannah found her sitting alone on the porch, staring at the stars. They talked about Elizabeth, about how grief did not fade with time, only changed shape. Hannah listened. That night, something shifted. Not trust yet, but the start of it. 10 days after Hannah arrived, Sam returned from Dust Creek with a letter. His face was hard. The paper was thick and expensive. Silas Crenshaw demanded Hannah's return. He called her his property. He warned of men skilled at recovery. Hannah panicked. She told Sam she had to leave. She would not bring danger to his daughters. Sam burned the letter in the fireplace. Then he showed her another paper, a bill of sale. Sheriff Dolan had sold Hannah's indenture contract to Sam for $20. Sam had released her from it the moment he signed. Legally, Hannah was free. Hannah cried harder than she ever had, not from fear, but from relief so deep it hurt. Sam told her she was worth every bit of trouble that might follow. He told her she was part of the family now. That night, they planned. Sam knew Crenshaw would not accept defeat. He expected men. He prepared his daughters honestly, without panic, without lies. They would protect each other. They would stay together. The attack came at midnight. Glass shattered, fire flared. The barn ignited. Horses screamed. Sam sent the girls and Hannah to the root cellar while he fought to free the animals. Hannah obeyed, though every instinct screamed to follow him. They waited in darkness, holding hands, listening to gunshots. Then Sam appeared, bleeding but standing. 2 men were down. 1 fled. The barn was gone. The house was burning. They rode through the night with smoke trailing behind them. Everything Sam built was ash, but they were alive. They took refuge with Ruth Hollister, a boarding house owner who knew Crenshaw's name and his crimes. She told them about Prospect Valley, a settlement built by people who had fled men like Crenshaw, a place with fair laws and shared protection. They left before dawn. The journey west was brutal. Snow, wind, cold rivers, hunger, fear. But they moved as one. Hannah took watches. She crossed rivers first. She held Lily when the cold shook her small body. Somewhere along the road, Hannah realized she was no longer just being protected. She was protecting too. They reached Prospect Valley on the 8th day. Reverend Jacob Stone greeted them. He knew Crenshaw's name. He offered safety without conditions. The settlement welcomed them not with questions, but with food and warmth. For the first time, Hannah felt what it was like to arrive somewhere and not be unwanted. Weeks passed. The cabin filled with life. Hannah taught sewing. Sam built. The girls laughed again. One night, standing in the doorway of their new home, Hannah told Sam she loved him. He kissed her and told her he loved her too. 3 weeks later, word came that Crenshaw's men were searching nearby. Emmett Crenshaw led them. 6 riders, armed and ruthless. Prospect Valley prepared. The settlement gathered. Reverend Stone spoke of standing together. Sam told Hannah's story. People stood one by one. They chose not to hand her over. At sundown, Emmett arrived. He demanded Hannah. He threatened fire. Then a marshal rode in from the west, a warrant in hand. Silas and Emmett Crenshaw were wanted for kidnapping and trafficking. Emmett's men surrendered. Hannah collapsed into Sam's arms as the chains closed around the man who had haunted her for years. She was free, truly free. The settlement celebrated. That night, Sam asked Hannah to marry him. She said yes. The girls cheered. The cage in Dust Creek was gone, but what it had tried to destroy stood stronger than ever. And for the first time since she could remember, Hannah Brennan believed the future belonged to her. The wedding took place on the first Sunday after the snow melted. Prospect Valley gathered early, filling the small wooden church until people stood along the walls and spilled outside into the sunlight. Hannah walked down the aisle, alone by choice. No one was giving her away. She was not property. She was a woman walking freely toward the life she had chosen. Samuel McCord waited at the front, his hands steady, his eyes full. The 5 girls stood beside him, clean dresses pressed, hair neatly braided. Lily clutched a small bundle of wildflowers and smiled like the world itself was smiling back. When the vows were spoken, Hannah felt the weight of every mile she had walked to reach that moment. The cage in Dust Creek, the fire, the running, the fear. All of it led here. When Sam kissed her, the church erupted in cheers, and Lily wrapped her arms around both their legs, declaring it the best day of her life. After the ceremony, the settlement celebrated until dusk. Food was shared, music played. Children ran until they dropped where they stood. Hannah watched Sam dance with his daughters and felt something settle inside her, something she had never known before. Belonging. Life in Prospect Valley grew steady. The cabin filled with warmth and noise. Hannah taught sewing to the women and earned her own income. Sam worked the land and helped build the new schoolhouse. The girls found their places. Abigail grew thoughtful and strong. Josie learned responsibility and leadership. Martha drew constantly. Caroline read everything she could find. Lily never stopped talking. The past did not disappear, but it loosened its grip. One crisp autumn morning, Hannah realized she was late. She counted days, then weeks. She sat on the porch, staring at the horizon until Sam found her. When she told him she was pregnant, he sat down hard on the steps and laughed like a man who had just been given the world. The girls reacted with shock and joy. Lily declared herself the official protector of the baby. Josie made plans. Abigail cried quietly and hugged Hannah so tight it stole her breath. Spring came gently. The baby arrived on a warm morning with the windows opened and the smell of earth in the air. A boy, healthy and strong. Hannah named him Jacob Samuel McCord. When Sam held his son, his hands trembled. He cried openly and did not try to hide it. The years passed. Prospect Valley grew. New families arrived. A school stood where there had once been only empty land. Hannah's sewing business became a small shop. Sam expanded the ranch. The girls grew taller. Their laughter changed. Their worries changed. Abigail was the first to bring a young man home. Sam was wary. Hannah watched with a knowing smile. Life was moving forward. One evening, years later, Hannah sat on the porch watching her family. Jacob chased Lily through the yard. Martha sketched under a tree. Caroline read aloud from a medical book. Josie worked beside Sam, learning the business she would one day manage. Sam joined Hannah on the porch and asked if she was happy. She thought of the iron bars, the frozen nights, the silence of Dust Creek. Then she looked at her home, her children, her husband. "Yes," she said, "I am." He kissed her hair and told her she was stuck with them forever. Hannah smiled. There was no place she would rather be stuck. She had been left to freeze in a cage by a town that called her nothing. A widowed cowboy with 5 daughters had stopped and seen her as someone worth saving. Together, they built a life no one could lock away.